Thanks for listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shanna Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology and instructional coach from my district.
And I'm our producer and husband, Fuzz Martin. And whether it's editing or producing this show, it's always cool.
Nice. Just wait, everybody. All the weather puns are coming out today.
Weather puns. There were so many. That was the easy, like... It was
you didn't know whether or not which one to choose?
Yes. I didn't want to get snowed on my choice. I almost had analysis paralysis coming up with which pun. I'm like, there's so many to use.
Yay. Well, we can just put them in throughout the show today.
Deal. Buckle up, listeners.
All the weather puns. So, episode 140.
Nice.
We are here.
Yeah.
We are ending January, starting February here in the longest time of the school year / winter.
Yes, the 28 longest days of the year.
Good old Wisconsin. And this week we are talking about weather. So this stems from a couple of things. Obviously, the weather outside is frightful. And we have always, lots to talk about. Those of you that are not from Wisconsin listening, you get hopefully a good sense of what we experience here on a regular basis.
Yes.
And then also I'm doing a project with my students that coincides with a project that the science teacher does. We do a combined science social studies project based on the Titanic. That's going to be a whole episode. I've decided we're going to do the resources on Titanic research.
Great.
And then we talk about the weather that day. Anyway, so we're always looking for fun weather resources so that students can research independently, that they can build this into their science lessons, and also because it's interesting and applies to all of us every day. Weather is something that you experience all the time.
Yes. Whether you want to.
Whether you want to or not. I just didn't want to say it, but I just did. Okay. So we have 2 weather websites today. One is very informational with lots of cool resources. And then the other one is a little more focused on a certain type of weather. So the first one is called weatherwizkids.com. So WeatherWizkids.com, weatherwizkids.com. And what's cool is this was created by a meteorologist in Indiana. And all of these tools are created for students to learn more about weather, which I think is awesome. So let's walk you through it. So weather, it's Weather Wiz Kids. And there's tabs across the top of the screen that give you all kinds of information. So if you want to learn about weather and climate, clouds, drought, hurricanes, lightning, optical illusions, rain and floods, sandstorms, pick a topic, you can have all of the ones that you want to learn about. Let's try thunderstorms today. So if you click on thunderstorms, they give you, what I appreciate about this, it's really easy for student research. So if you have students 1st or 2nd grade with probably a Google Read and Write on there, so it can be read to them, but younger students could use this for very easy research. Older students can find the question they're asking and find the information that they need to. So what is a thunderstorm? It gives you the background. It explains the difference between a severe thunderstorm and just a regular thunderstorm, the stages of a thunderstorm. And it's all just very neatly laid out. The question, the response, usually an image showing actual, an example of the weather or a map that goes with it. And then it gets into more technical terms, like what is a bow echo? Oh. It's a type of radar signature of a squall. So it goes further and further in as you scroll through. And there's a whole page of all kinds of cool information on thunderstorms. Back under that weather tab, again, if you're looking for something cool, you want to learn more about wind and how fronts work and things like that. Questions and answers. It's a great way to get quick information. Again, easy to understand for students. Natural disasters are in there. So earthquakes, landslides, sinkholes, tsunamis, volcanoes. You and I just both finished reading a book, the newest book by Alan Gratz, that talks about
the 2 degrees.
2 degrees. And it's fantastic. My students I have 2 copies in my classroom. They're already checked out all the time.
Nice.
And what I thought was cool in that book, it kind of, leads you into information about wildfires and things like that. Yeah. But if you want students that you don't have a bunch of background knowledge, this is a great way to see what is a tsunami? What is a wildfire? And again, it's got that great question answer diagram laid out simply for kids to understand, which I appreciate. And so that's kind of cool. You look like
Weather Wiz Kids also has a kid zone with weather jokes.
I was like, I'm not there yet, but I knew that you're going to find this. So
we'll
throw it in.
Wait.
You can give us one. What do you got?
I'll give you our youngest daughter's favorite question.
Okay, go for it.
What does a cloud wear under his raincoat?
Thunderwear. We must hear that joke like every day. In this house.
One more. What's the difference between a horse and the weather?
I don't know.
One is rained up, the other rains down. I'm going to use all these with our child after we're done recording.
Fantastic. And it'll save you some time at the end that you can just keep on going.
I'm in. There's a whole long page of them.
Great. So after natural disasters, again, you can tie it into research. If your students are reading that new book that just came out, like that would be a great, like, hey, we could learn more information. That would be great. They also have experiments, which I was going through, and they're so easy and doable. Not like super easy, but doable. So like for making a thunderstorm, you need clear plastic container, like the size of a shoebox, some red food coloring and some ice cubes and blue food coloring. So it gives you the materials, it gives you the process, then the explanation behind it, and then you can do a little more research if you'd like to. They have tracking a thunderstorm, which is my favorite. All you need is a thunderstorm and a stopwatch. Like, today, go outside and track it. But there's all kinds of cool experiments, like a balloon in a bottle. How do you make your hair stand up? Making rainbows. Where's the wind? What's in the wind? Make a thermometer. So there's a whole list. So if you're looking for, I always think too, like if students are looking for like science fair projects, this would be a great thing. If you're looking just to do hands-on things and more like at home, like take home, try this at home kind of like science, they can track the weather so easily. We all experience different types of weather. So there's all kinds of cool ideas in that experiments zone that you can click on, try out, send home, have kids try. Kids that want to just learn more because they're interested in it, you could definitely send them onto that page. Like, here, why don't you pick an experiment? We can try it out as a class, that kind of thing. So there's just all kinds of very cool weather-related, very kid-friendly to use early elementary through middle school, when they're on their own research, and having an authentic site that actually has accurate information is always helpful. So Weather Wiz Kids. And then, yes, in the last column, there are jokes. There's weather folklore. There's careers, questions, other links. There's flashcards that are all different kinds of topics. And then weather games. So there's definitely resources. The weather games one isn't loaded in yet. They're still adding to that. But weather jokes and other links you do have access to. So you got another joke for us?
Another joke? Of course I do. How do hurricanes see?
I don't know.
With one eye.
Ooh. Nice. All right. You can save one for the end too.
Okay. I will save one for the end.
All right. So that is Weather Wiz Kids. Check it out. Share it with your students. Again, great resource for weather and all the things happening. So our second weather-related site, whether or not you're interested in snow crystals,
come on,
your own
Shanna.
Choice.
Bring the thunder.
But the next one is snowcrystals.com. So right now it does happen to be snowing lightly outside. I believe in the next couple of, 24, 48 hours, we'll get like 6 inches. We'll see what happens. That keeps changing. But snowcrystals.com, snowcrystals.com, snowcrystals.com is such a cool way to look at snow. So besides cutting out paper snowflakes, and sometimes you can grow them in a jar with like sugar, this site explains like designer snowflakes and how they grow them in a lab.
Okay.
Where then you create your own design. It's just fascinating. So there's several different categories of information here. They have natural snowflakes and they have them under a microscope. They look fake. Like they do not look real.
Look fake. Yep.
They have them under a microscope so you can really see these designs and patterns. And I feel like way back in the day, we used to read the book Snowflake Bentley. That was like a true story about someone who like photographed early snowflakes way back in the day. This reminds me of that. So it talks about like the different types of crystals and the shapes. And then you can explore like photos and then guides. And there's different fun facts about snowflakes. But they have designer snowflakes. So if you click on designer snowflakes, it will walk you through what it is. And then different images that, and if you're creating, I think like art or writing about snow or how it works. So the science behind it, how they create the crystals,
Oh, yeah.
what that looks like, and then how like water droplets can change depending on like condensation and how they can make
Humidity,
the
all that,
look.
yeah.
It gets fascinating and it's cool. Like it's easy, just like let's learn about designer snowflakes today. You know, if you've got a really like if it's snowing outside, or if you don't have any snow in your area at all, and everyone's like, snow, like what a cool way to learn about it because it's so pretty. It talks about growing snowflakes, and then they have like kind of videos of watching in slow motion, like how they create them and how they have like a high resolution version of how these snowflakes are created.
Even
the videos
goes in to tell how much it costs to make the snowflake creator.
Yeah, which is cool.
Very expensive.
Yeah, that too. And then snowflake science. So if you click on that link, it explains what a snowflake is, how these symmetrical shapes work, and why no two are alike. It talks about all these different pieces and like the growth of them, and simple snowflakes versus asymmetry versus the different like sharpening of the shapes and how they morph. It's just, to me, a snowflake, you always just see like, oh, it's snowing, it's pretty most of the time, unless you're driving, like, oh, it's snowing, I gotta go drive in it. But all of this science and the cool creations behind it, and then it could be very like art inspired, but also science and geometry, like math. This site, you could tie in snow into any of those subject areas. And even like with younger students, you could definitely just show these and show the images and talk about the videos, versus older kids. You're like, all right, like how does this work in math? Like show me the asymmetry. Like what are we looking at for if we were to graph this in like Desmos or something? Like there's just so many cool ways to build this set of information into other lessons, I think would be super cool. And then if you scroll down the page a little bit, they also have like fun links like myths and nonsense. Like what is not okay? Like is snowflake, like is there perfection within snowflakes and all kinds of stuff? And then they have snowflake fossils, and they have how to preserve like snow crystals and resin. They have all just kinds of cool information. So
yeah,
snowcrystals.com has all of these cool pieces of information about snowflakes that I guess I would never take it that far, like not until reading this. And I was like, wow, that's really neat. And then they have other categories too. Keep scrolling down the page. But they have other resources to take you to different other like snow-based websites too.
Sure.
So what a cool website. It's created by a professor in physics in California, and just a neat way to learn more about snow and kind of look at the beauty of it and the science and the math behind it. Snowcrystals.com.
Also, kudos to Professor Kenneth Librecht. He's had this site up since 1999.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it still is very relevant.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's still very relevant and
pretty and usable.
Just chocked full of information. More information than you ever thought existed on snowflakes.
Absolutely.
It's on this website. It's really good.
Yeah. So you just pick and choose. There's even like books to learn more about it. I know. It's just very neat. It was a neat find. Snowcrystals.com.
Hey, Shanna, how come the snowman didn't show up to the party?
He melted away.
He flaked out. That one wasn't on the sheet. I
just came up with that one?
I came up with that one, yes.
Oh, you should like write in, hey, we could do that. If anybody's got a really fun snow-based joke or a weather-based joke, you can just tag me on Twitter and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll send it to the author of weatherwizkids.com, and she can put it up on our site.
Yeah. We'll send you a Tech Tools for Teachers sticker.
What happens when the fog lifts in California? UCLA. Okay,
that's fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
On that note, whether you're interested in weather or not, your students probably would learn a lot. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. If you ever have any questions, you can find me on Twitter @SmartNWI. And if you want to get more information on the links to the technology discussed in this episode, you can visit smartandwi.com. Check out that little EdTech Directory and or share that with staff members. If you'd like to support the show, please consider buying me a coffee or two. Visit buymeacoffee.com/smartandwi or visit smartandwi.com and click on that cute little purple coffee cup. Your donations help keep this show going and are always appreciated. New episodes each week. Thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed in this podcast and the Smart NWI website are those of the author, Shanna Martin, and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed on this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we sure hope they do. Hey, Shanna, what happens when it rains cats and dogs? You have to be careful not to step in a poodle.